Let's write an email. I feel like a lot of the videos that I do see, they follow an exact formula, and that doesn't really work for everybody's field. They kind of lack the nuance of that, and so what you end up getting is like when you send an email, you know, don't do this or don't do that and don't do that, but like it kind of just stops there. So I'm gonna kind of give you a look into my mind and what I'm thinking whenever I'm writing an email. Okay, I've got a very unconventional way when it comes to sending out email proposals. It's a way that I kind of feel I don't see anybody else do, or maybe I do, and it's just, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people are really stuck up about this whole email proposal thing. I used to overthink it a lot, and that ended up having me essentially send out large PDF files and trying to explain everything, or even trying to, they treat it like it's some relationship with a toxic ex where it's like, don't let them know that you're too interested to work with them, or if they seem interested, don't give this, or like almost trying to coax them, when in reality a lot of the emails that I've sent have always been emails where I kind of just tell them up front, here's what I'm offering, this is exactly what everything looks like. You want to just seem like, hey look, I'm prepared, I thought about you, I would love to work with you guys. So instead of going all of that and even looking at an actual email, I'm going to create a mock-up. Now again, I'm trying to be a racing driver, so this is going to be a little different than perhaps maybe if you're trying to get a vendor for your event, but I do think that the process is relatively the same. The thought process is the same, at least. So let's create ourselves a little mock-up here, and on somewhere on the screen you will have the written version of what actually we're writing here. That way you can kind of keep track. Okay, so I'm willing to bet your first question is probably, well, how do I even go about finding who to send emails to? I've got you covered. This is some pirate type stuff I do. So what I do straight up, and this is what you can do too with any business, is I will go onto Google search images, right? So in motorsports, their sponsors are usually on their racing suits or their cars or logos. And so what I have done is I will just type in, let's say for instance, I've actually F4, and you see here, if we're looking on their cars, a lot of them have their sponsors. I'm trying to actually find a good image here. Let's see. I'm gonna use a really popular example, just F1. This is just the most applicable here. Let's say for instance, Peroni beer or Valvoline sponsor me, right? We'll just pick one of them. But what I'll do is if I see that these companies are sponsoring a driver, and then almost like a snake, I'm not even gonna lie to you, Chief, if I look on the driver's social media, again, we don't know what they're doing behind the scenes for the sponsor, but because I do video production, if that hole is not being gapped or that hole is not being filled, then what I will do is come up with an offer to a person that's already sponsoring people in motorsports and give them something along the lines of like proper video production, proper marketing in the way of content creation. And not necessarily on my page. I don't have the largest following. I don't even have a following on Instagram. I got like 300 followers and 1,300 YouTube subscribers. So that's not much at all. However, if you are really banking on the skill that you can provide or a service that you can provide to a business, really their logo on your suit is an afterthought. And that's always how it's going to be. However, if you're just looking for a logo or looking for a company to sponsor your business or a company to work with, and you see that they're working with your competition already, well, see if there's anything in your lane that you can provide that your competition can't. Look at the people that are already in the field and go after those people before you go and try to bring a company who's never been into it, never known anything about it, and trying to convince them that this is really a good opportunity to do. Because as soon as you start convincing people or trying to convince people is when you're fighting an uphill battle, and we like warm leads, not cold leads. And so I don't even like cold calling for that reason. Oh, okay. Right here. All right. So this is a bottle of saffron from Aceworks. So we're gonna actually pretend like we're writing an email to them because I might. Fitness is a very large part of motorsports, of any sort of athletic anything at all that has ever existed. And so if you're already taking supplements to perform better, then think about looking around your house. Look for something that, you know, so for me, okay, for instance, if I as a videographer in my city of DC
know that there are a lot of fitness influencers or fitness people around here, I can treat myself as a middleman in the sense where it's a twofold thing. I want to get vitamins, or I want them to pay me. And at the same time, I don't have a following myself, but I do have the video skills to make a person with a following look like a superstar. And so for this bottle of saffron, let's say we are looking to advertise their vitamins or their supplement here, and we know a few influencers in our network of people that we've worked with in the past, and we can say, hey, look, I don't have a good following, but I've got a network of influencers that do. And so, you know, you then go to them, the influencer themselves, and say, hey, look, I need a favor from you. If you can do a post or anything like that for this company, then at a discounted rate, and you take whatever the difference is between that discount here, or even a percentage of the commissions, well, I will do X amount of posts for you. I'll do the videography. We can do a few reels together with your own ideas. So that's how I would do that. But if we're writing an email to AceWorks, right? And we've already got the influencer part covered. And funny enough, I think I've actually done this with an actor. What I can do is this. I can type in subject title. I would say this. I think about the subject titles last, but you do want to make them interesting. And I've thought long and hard about it. But we'll start with the body. A simple, hey, AceWorks. As a customer, if you like the vitamins of the product or you think that it's cool, you should probably start with a compliment first. Like, hey, I've been taking your saffron supplements for the past like 90 days, and I gotta say my appetite is like genuinely like not there anymore. They work surprisingly well. You can kind of even say, hey, I didn't even think this was gonna work, but it really surprised me. So kudos to you. You guys make a really good product. I'm in the marketing game, or I'm in the video creation game. I'm looking for new client. Oh shit, I should probably type this. So I guess piggybacking off of that, I'd say I've been taking your supplements for the past few months, and I gotta admit, I'm surprised. Let me just do this. There's a friggin' talk to text. Surprised at the amount it suppresses when it comes to my appetite. With that said, as a content creator, I only really want to work with products that I do support, and you guys have really something really special. So here's my idea to show others just how special your product is. So, if you are like me, I have done this and been like, you have the road of being very transparent. And so that can mean straight up telling them, look, if you work with me, here's the deliverables first. Here is my brain here. So if I know that this influencer,
Joy,
if you're like me and you're in the video game, the video space, you have what's called deliverables. And what that just means is what you're willing to deliver to the client or the customer, or whatever business you're working with, in exchange for whatever they provide you. But I like to start the first part of the email with, here's what I'm giving you before I even ask for anything. That might mean if I've talked to the influencers or my network and they can say, hey, look, I can work with you or this company for, I can work with you and this company for, let's say 5 reels promoting their product here. Then you can put something like 5 reels, 15 to 30 seconds each, and then with a post every other day, right? So right there, for instance, you've got one banger right there. I have to think about it like this. I'm a human and they're a human. So if I am getting an email, which I have, it's spam, but if you know what a bad email would sounds like, if you just eliminate the bad, you're at least at neutral. And then good is once you've gotten used to it and you're trying out the things that don't make it bad, to just leave it at the neutral and maybe you go up there. I know it sounds weird, but that's just how I don't know, that's just how I think about it, and it seems to work just fine. And so with that, I've already told them here's what I'm willing to deliver. And then let's say, for instance, we want to throw in story posts. So let's say 3 IG story tags, with one being every 2 days. Now, this is obviously a really expensive campaign depending on the size of the influencer, but this is just an example, so it's exaggerated. So if that's all that we're delivering, because we don't really need to be too complicated, honest to God, if you were an influencer and you got this, you'd probably be charging them a few grand. So once I do that, I actually like to do this. This works out a lot for me. The idea when you are doing something with any person you're emailing, I would say build a portfolio of work if you can, of jobs that are related to, or products that are related to who you're actually trying to get in your corner. And if you don't, well, the next best thing is just to do something that shows off your skills. So if you're, I mean, the only thing I can say is if you're somebody trying to attract vendors and you're sending out proposals to these vendors to come and pay you to be at your spot, I would say in that example, your portfolio would be you going out and shadowing other places that you've worked with and coming off and saying, hey, look, I'm really trying to start something. I've worked with this company, this company, this company. Here's their numbers when it comes to vendor turnout. Here's what I think I can pull for the same area. Will you work with me? I guess that's how that would go. But then from there, we'll just say random link to example related to the work you want to do for them. The idea of this is just trying to give them almost like how people will sell cars, where they sell the lifestyle. The job as a salesman when you're selling a home or a car with any large asset, well, cars aren't an asset, is to get the person you're trying to sell to imagine themselves in what it is you're trying to sell to them. So if you're sending them an example of some work that is very closely related to the field that they're already in, they can see themselves, their brain swaps their logo with whatever brand that you've worked with that has already done successful. If you have not the portfolio to do that yet, then the idea is to do free work that is related to what you want to get paid to do. So basically do the work that you want to get paid to do for free so that eventually the free work turns into the paid work that you want to do. That was nicely said. And so then what you might do after you give them the portfolio stuff is you can talk about the goal. What's the purpose of this? And this is kind of where you can put your own self into, like, how do you want to steer this? But then also say, okay, well, you know, I know what I said, but what are some things that you'd like done? Like, what are there any sort of markets that you're trying to branch into? Is there a certain type of customer that you're trying to get that maybe you think I can help with? Because if the supplement place, or like C4 for instance, wants to hit runners, wants to break into the running market, but all they got is a bunch of like gym heads or caffeine addicts, I am one of them, then it's like, oh, well, crap, I know a lot of runners in my city, or I can go to a city with a lot of runners. I can still help out with that. Thank God, my car back there has a little hatch that opens up. If somebody wanted to make a running video or a running campaign, then I can do that with their vitamins. That's how you do that. But you might not have known that they wanted to break into that, and you might not have known that you're, in fact, the perfect fit for it if you hadn't have just added a line saying, hey, look, I know I've got my own ideas, but I really want to hear about what you have to say or what you're thinking. Is there a market that you want to break into? Is there a certain type of person you want to reach? But if you don't write that, then maybe they don't think that that's even an option for you, and you're only out to do this specific mission. So I'll say this. In my goals section, I'll write, let's say we're just trying to hit the diet community. Let's say their supplement is for metabolism boost, energy, and mood, but maybe they've only been selling to the mood market and they haven't yet found out that they can sell to the weight loss community. I can say this. The goal, based on the type of influences that I'm working with, is to break into the weight loss community as an alternative to Ozempic. So funny enough, right there, if Saffron was to advertise with that premise as well, showing the negative side effects to Ozempic, the nausea that happens, and say, hey, look, nothing will ever be as good as a medication, but the thing about medications is they shouldn't even exist. They don't even exist in nature. And so you get problems that don't exist in nature. I might actually have this. Is fucking fire, dog. And so with that, that's your selling point right there. That's the ad. That's the campaign right there. And so if we go here and we just, we say an example message, that's massage message might be, when you take something that doesn't appear in nature, you get the side effects that don't appear in nature. Lucky for us, saffron does weight loss well. And though it will never be as strong as Ozempic, that's only because no weight loss method was ever supposed to be. There's your campaign right there. And then you just keep making reels from that. But breaking down this email here, you have the first section, which is obviously the introduction. You're giving a compliment to them if you've actually known their product. And if you don't know their product, do some freaking research. Do not sit up and try to, number one, message companies you know nothing about, because when you do the work for them, there's a difference between working with them in order to learn, and that's what you say, but that's when you either severely discount or do the work for free, or you don't work with them. Work with a company that you like, because if you like it, you'll be passionate about it. But if you don't, well, then if you don't like it and you don't know it, then they're going to have some things or some language about the field that they're going to say, and you just appear more like an outsider. But at the very least, if you're a person who already works out and you're like, hey, look, I'm using yours to lose some weight while I do 5K a day or something, well, then you're speaking their language. That's exactly why they made the product. So a customer coming to them that already likes their product, number one, they know, well, I'm not really losing a lot by giving you money because you're still going to buy the product. But also, you know us. And so you've purchased from us too. Well, crap. You've given us a lot already. Why don't we give you a chance? That's kind of how I would think it would come off to them. And so then you've got the deliverables, or what it is that you are able to give to the person. It doesn't have to be a specific product or anything. It could be attention, eyes on their campaign. It could be the amount of work that they get per car every week or something. You know, it can be anything. And then random link to your work, or a random link to, I say random, but that's what it's labeled, a link to any sort of reference that you may have that would be related to the work that you're trying to do for them, or be related to the event that you're trying to get them to come to, etc. And then write what your goal would be to this. For this email, we wrote to break into the weight loss community as an alternative to Ozempic, as a natural alternative to Ozempic. And so for me, and this is the marketing bit here, we deliver the message. This is what a campaign could look like. I've thought about even this. This is a very simplified way of doing it. If you have already set up a campaign, it is probably a good idea to just put it in there. Because if they say, like, don't get in the mood of, if I tell them too much, they're going to steal it. Because if they steal it, number one, they'd have to pay somebody to do it. Or they'd have to make sure that whoever they get is good enough or as good as you to execute that idea the way that you envisioned. So maybe you can leave it at that. You know, don't give them the whole thing, I guess. That makes sense. But don't be afraid. Don't send an email saying, I've got this really cool idea that I'd love you guys to read about, or maybe you guys would like it. Because that requires almost like a double text, where it could be, here's the exchange of words here, yes or no. If yes, all right, here's how we get started. Instead of a, hey, would you like to see this thing I have? Okay, sure, I guess. All right, well, here it is and all that. And then you have to wait for the yes back. So you've added one extra exchange that doesn't need to be there. And that may be thinking too calculated, but for me, I found that it worked. I tried that method of, hey, I've got this really cool idea, and it never works. But also, at the same time, the method of barfing up everything that you're trying to do with them, a whole pitch deck, the whole campaign, not a good idea either. So, now that this email is complete, how do we close it? We can say something like the standard, hey, look, again, I really love your product. So let's say, hey, look, again, I really love your product, and that makes me really excited to work with you. I really hope that we're able to make something work. Can't wait to hear from you soon. And there you go. That's it. And so the idea of making an email is now with you. So now to tackle the subject of batch emailing. When you are in a field where you have to do that because either the competition is so high or it's saturated or whatever, you want to pick a small niche, and in that niche, you're going to have sort of a little bit of nomenclature that identifies with more than just one company. And so with this that I just wrote, you could replace, if you're wanting to do saffron supplements, right? Okay, well, saffron's very niche. That's exactly what you're trying to go for. However, the businesses that sell saffron are all different. And then you would just replace their business name with whatever. So if it's Ace Works, if it's, I mean, I guess if C4 Energy sold saffron, you put C4, this and this and that, because they all do the same thing: weight loss, mood, and metabolism, energy. And that's how you would send out that mass email. But don't sit up and try to create some general email thinking that if you just send out something that's super general to everyone in the sport, like sending it out to the vitamin industry in a whole as a whole, and then just saying, here's what I want, here's the campaign, then they're going to be able to tell that, oh, this is just a blanket email sent to us, so you don't want to do that. I think what I'm actually going to end up doing is create a small little PDF outline for you guys to download. That way you guys can just refer back to it if you are ever typing an email and just need to be like, okay, well, does it line up with this and this and that? But yeah, all right, that's it. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, watch another one. I got plenty on my channel. Peace.